Good afternoon, everyone. If you don't recall, my name is Michael Douglas, and I am a Stream Management Services and Floodplain Management intern here at the district. It's my pleasure to introduce Colin Haggerty, the Denver County Program Manager here at the district. Among his many duties, he manages capital projects, some of which have presented complex challenges and rewarding solutions, similar to one we'll hear about next. Please join me in welcoming him to the stage.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back from lunch. We hope that these next couple of presentations will touch on some topics that will keep you all awake. As Michael mentioned, my name is Colin Haggerty, and I am the Denver County Program Manager at the Mile High Flood District. I have Jeremy Deischer and Fernando Bautista on stage with me here today. Jeremy's the project manager with ICON and probably has the best understanding of how this project went from concept to design to construction, while Fernando is the CEI project manager who took that understanding and made it a reality. We're here to talk about the Westerly Creek at Stanley Marketplace project. That official project name is the Westerly Creek at 22nd Outfall. All right, now we got the button thing again. There we go. So this project actually originally started as a small water quality pond, but because of the vision and persistence of a lot of individuals working together, we have a holistic project. And there are a few people who are constants, including Jeremy, and one of them is Jess Clark, but I think we all know that 15 minutes isn't enough time for Jess Clark up here. The last time some of you may have seen an update on this project was in 2023 at CASPM. Aaron Wakat and I, who has also been on the project since the early days, joined Jeremy and I to talk about the concepts and getting it from design into construction. We now that we're nearing the end of construction, we wanted to highlight how we got to where we are, what worked and what didn't work in both design and construction, and what the next steps are for this impactful project. Like many of our projects, this one started as a small water quality pond, and that was simply looking for a way to support redevelopment of the original Aurora area. The concept was to provide a water quality facility adjacent to the Stanley Marketplace. But as we started in design, we recognized there were a number of transformative projects that were already implemented, and this stretch was the last segment that was not improved upstream of the Central Park neighborhood. And that's because the Stanley Marketplace was originally part of the Stapleton Airport, but was just outside the section that was redeveloped with the neighborhood. This segment remained in nearly the same configuration as it was in 1993. When we started looking at the concept of providing water quality, we also realized that this site was part of a VCUP, or a voluntary cleanup program through CDPHE. That's because Stanley Marketplace was originally an aviation center that opened up in the 1950s and designed, tested, and manufactured aviation and aerospace equipment, including ejection seats for the military. And we won't go into how those seats were tested today, but it might be a fun conversation for happy hour if you'd like. We quickly realized that doing a lot of construction and a lot of excavation in this area would be very costly and wouldn't really provide a lot of value. So we recognized we needed to step back and start with the vision. Aurora realized that if we looked at this area holistically, we could help accelerate investment in the original Aurora district by following these principles. We also recognized that the limits of the VCUP really only extended to the left side of the site, as you can see here. So if we could find a way to flip the creek to the other side of the site, we could also move the water quality facility outside of those VCUP limits and exceed the original goal while also restoring the creek. But we didn't stop there. We wanted to establish connectivity through the site, including a new regional trail. And then we also wanted to utilize the whole site and maximize the open space and recreational components. So we left the vision stage with a pretty good idea of what we wanted the site to look like. But as we all know, that's where the fun begins. And we have to take this concept and bring it to life into a constructible plan set, which is where Jeremy and his team jumped in.
So as we started into final design, I think our biggest known was the unknown. And so as we proceeded here, we knew we were just going to have to be super adaptable as we got through some of our design process. So the first example of this is an inclusive playground that the property owner approached us and said, hey, we would love to have this handicap accessible playground right next to the marketplace and be a great community amenity. So that was all great until we had showed them that we had graded and started permitting for this to be adjacent to their sidewalk, and they actually said, hey, we're actually going to implement this now, and we're going to drop this 6 feet for their permitting so they could construct it in a much smoother timeline. So that was just the first of many things that really acknowledged that we were going to have to be nimble on our feet, and it turned into a great community asset. It just required us to basically flip the entire site after that vision plan because now we didn't have the grade to get to that proposed stream alignment. A little bit to the further south, we did have 3 adjacent developments that were coming in that were all on their own timeline. And so it did result in some disconnected open space features. And so with some of those guiding principles, we kind of looked and said, well, what in the world was going on here? Well, if you overlay the floodplain, you know exactly what was going on here. So they had constructed it here, and this was just one of many opportunities throughout the site that with our multidisciplinary team, we had the opportunity to make these connections. It was good we had such a diverse group, because if it was just up to Colin and I, we thought that it would make some great coyote and roadrunner habitat and just paint a mural and leave it, but this was just one of many things that just a little couple paves of stone really helped the connectivity throughout the site. So as we got a little bit further into design and we wanted to really understand the subsurface conditions given some of the site history that Colin mentioned, we had our geotech out there and they actually started to hit into an obstruction, and we found it was an old remnant of an old building foundation that nobody was actually aware of still existed. And so at this time, CEI had been brought on in the partnering process and was able to actually use some of their equipment to try to spend a couple days in that risk management to really try to trace out what the extent of these foundation walls were. This is a pivotal point of the project because our stream center line was going to go right through this area, and we had cuts in excess of 15 feet. So anything that we found under the ground was going to have to be completely removed. So by doing this upfront work, by encouraging the district's partnering process, we were able to mitigate this risk by moving the stream center line over further to the site and really minimize the cut in this area. Even with the knowns that we had, we didn't even know what we were going to uncover. So this is a picture during construction. Some of those walls are 3 feet thick. So it would have been insanely costly if we would have left the stream center line and not known about this and done some more exploratory excavation and had to do an emergency design repair or give Colin a call and said we needed some more money. As we move forward back to those guiding principles, we really wanted to make that water quality amenity and keep that in the forefront of our mind. And so we have some certainly unique structures on the site, and we really needed to figure out the best way to interpret those both through the design iteration and make sure that they were hydraulically significant, and also make them an amenity where people think that they don't even know where they're standing. And so we really leaned on our partners at Stream to come up with different levels of rendering, whether it be the concept rendering that was just with our design team, whether we move that to the plan view schematics as we engage project stakeholders and maintenance crews, and then even advancing to those 3D renderings where both the technical and non-technical audience could get a really of a feel of how this place would look once we were done with construction. With CEI on board, we even advanced this further into some 3D renderings, and so these were super helpful when we were trying to illustrate the design both aesthetically and hydraulically of these structures, and CEI was able to provide valuable feedback to improve the feasibility of these structures while also reducing project costs. And so these were so helpful to be able to really tell them, hey, this is what we're looking for, and offer small tweaks that still kept the integrity of those structures, while again lowering those project costs. This was so successful that we actually carried this forward into construction, and so this is an example of the plan set where we actually have some of those renderings linked, where this is a boulder terrace structure where you can actually click in the plan set and get a 3D feel so there's no misinterpretations just from a plan view of how we wanted this area to look. So as we got through all the permitting process and got to the end of the design, we ended up really with a concept that everybody on the design team was super proud of. I do, as people have mentioned here this morning, again, want to acknowledge the project sponsors for this, being the city of Aurora and the district, and really going from that just a project sponsor to the project champion. This project, as Colin mentioned, was just going to be a little water quality basin and an outfall, and it really took those people to get the momentum of this project off the ground where they could have easily said, no, this is the budget we have allocated, let's just go build this and move on. But let's take a step back and holistically look and be good stewards of what was actually the right solution in this case. So the fun was only half of design. Now moving on to the construction, I think this project was a huge success compared to some of the others I've been involved with really just that trust and communication that we built through the design process. So CEI was engaged and understood the intent of the structures throughout, and then really leaning on the project sponsors, the district and Aurora Water and the city of Aurora pros to really create that collaboration between everybody in the group, whether that be the engineering team or some of our key sub-consultants that were going to be heavily involved during construction, and really foster that environment of collaboration and had specific meetings to talk through each of these multifaceted structures and who was in charge of observing what and who was going to be making the ultimate decision. And so this really helped the man behind the curtain here implement these structures.
Here's a picture.
Here's a picture of on pre-construction time on October 2024, how the project site used to look like. We quickly realized how important it was going to be the coordination between the city of Aurora, the city of Denver, the Stanley Marketplace, and also the Village Farms, a nonprofit organization that is really important for the community. We only have like one access to the entire project, that it was through Denver, even when the majority of the project is on city of Aurora. And then we were limited on the staging area because the marketplace have to keep using a temporary parking lot and also their inclusive playground. The first priority of this project was to relocate this community garden and taking outside of the floodplain and maximize how they can utilize the 1 acre area in the new proposed location. That was a picture of how they used to look like. And now, like you can see on the bottom corner, like how they look now. On March 2025, when we were building the channel, we realized that we can have like cost-effective solutions. So we start having conversations with the engineer team about like how instead having like multiple pages on the set of drawings to show us how to make like the connections in between the pools and the roofs on the new channel, they can just propose a new detail that we can use as a general detail to build like the new existing channel. Also, we utilize the project not only as a construction site, but to go beyond that and train the city of Aurora in partnership with ICON about like how to place void-fill riprap on the new channel. On April 2025, we were getting ready to build the soil lifts on the new channel, and that's when we bring people that it's been doing this for the entire lifetime, like Clint Snow and Antonio Garcia, and we take their feedback about like how to build the soil lifts and also how to make them look more natural with the landscape. And this also helped us to reduce the height of a concrete wall that is adjacent to this location. On May 2025, we were almost ready to have the new channel 100% built. And you cannot take Mother Nature into your schedule. That's when we have like multiple really big storm events, 10-year storm events that overflooded the existing channel because it was still active, or construction channel was still offline. And this is what happened. It was only like 15 to 20 minutes a storm event, but like it flooded like both channels. It overtopped the existing back and caused like major damage into what we have built so far. So what we did is like we gathered together as a team. We bring like the project sponsors, and we bring like all the ideas, like all the issues that we have in mind, and we were able to record the entire site in a 1 month time frame. On September 2025, we clear and grab like all the landscape existing areas to generate the topsoil that we were going to utilize for the project. And then one person decided to have fun on a Saturday and go to the Stanley Marketplace beer garden and notify the state that he looked like there is like some debris on those stockpiles. We have 3,800 cubic yards of topsoil there. And then after walking 6 hours with the state, we found those 2 small pieces of asbestos. We were instructed to take like all these to the landfill. Instead, like doing this and build the district for it, we gathered together as a team with Matrix after having the cabbie all time that we were performing excavations. We bring the idea to have a beneficial use of this soil and use like this amount of dirt to backfill the existing channel. We save around $200,000 of cost for the project. Also, we utilize the project to foster our learning culture. And we bring on site like the crews that are going to be maintaining like all these improvements after the project is completed to have their input and to better understand how the structures are going to work, and also like make small changes to benefit like the way that they're going to maintain the structures. Also, like really important, like to use the project to learn, because when you have like people as this project team that it's really invested into the project and love what they do, there is a lot of things that you can learn from them.
And John's going to come. John talked about the dynamic watershed, and Brick's going to come up here and talk about, the DIKY or DIKW pyramid, which are both super important. We can do so much more when we leverage data, but it still takes people to provide the insight that is needed to make a successful project. And each person who signed this made a commitment to that. And we're here because of that early vision and early persistence of a lot of individuals, including Morgan Lynch, Tony Tran, and Michelle Coral. And there were a few folks that even started the project and then left that got pulled back in, and Clint Weiss and Nicole Inkney. Finally, everyone that's contributed their time and effort to make this project a success, from Zach Purfirst doing the design work, to Rito Villalobos leading construction, to WSR and Corvus that were making sure the vegetation had the best opportunity to establish, to the hundreds of people who contributed to the construction on this site. Every person who touched this project made an impact because they felt their contribution would matter, and it does.